And one thing that you get from scouting, or at least I've got from scouting more than anyone else probably, is a high amount of resilience. It's taught me to take challenges and to go through challenges. When something gets hard, you don't press like an imaginary stop button. You carry on, you persevere.
From filling supermarket shelves to lecturing at one of the region's top universities, 28-year-old Lewis Simpson's story is both educational and inspirational.
So I began when I was at Hull University doing my undergraduate degree. So my degree is in sociology, and I specialised throughout that degree in social theory. So the way in which we can maybe understand and start to tell stories about the world, to understand how people live and the way that we live these days, which is quite important. So I became quite close to one of my tutors there, a guy called Professor Keith Tester, who kind of encouraged me to go for it, really. It was never my ambition to become an academic. At the end of my university, my undergraduate at least, I wanted to go and teach English in Japan. Keith really encouraged me to kind of start my academic career a bit further. I didn't get my job in Japan like I wanted, so I ended up going to do a master's degree at the University of Leeds, where I studied karate and liquid modernity, a particular theory in sociology. And then I fell into an academic job, as it were, really.
He was later to be chosen from hundreds of candidates for a lecturing role at Leeds Beckett University, where he continues to develop his academic career today. While developing his career in academia, Lewis continues to pursue his interests in scouting and karate.
Scouting has been a significant part of my life since I was 6. Through scouting, not only do I get, great fun, great adventure with great friends, and I've gained friends for life through scouting, but it's given me values for living, it's given me skills for living, and all of these things which I use on my daily basis to deal and contend with life these days.
I first met Lewis when he was a young lad going to Scouts at the local Scout campsites. He was at one Scout group, I was at a different one where I was a leader. When we had our district camps and explorer groups and various things like that, then I used to bump into him and see him. Today's
society is arguably quite dark. We face a lot of social problems these days. People these days are living in a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. And one thing that you get from scouting, or at least I've got from scouting more than anyone else probably, is a high amount of resilience. It's taught me to take challenges and to go through challenges. When something gets hard, you don't press like an imaginary stop button. You carry on, you persevere, which I think today is needed more than any other.
Resilience. You have to, when you're doing scouting, you have to learn to find ways through different aspects of your life.
Scouting's available for everybody and anybody, and we take anyone who's willing to volunteer their time, and that's really important for us. We give young people great opportunities that they probably wouldn't have otherwise. Karate is very different in terms of what it's given to my life alongside scouting. Again, it's given me a lot of values for life. It's given me a lot of inspiration for the world, because karate is not just about punching and kicking people. That's the last thing that it's about more than anything. It's about really maintaining a balance within yourself, and it's about understanding that balance in your wider life, as well as, again, challenging yourself physically and mentally to go through those experiences.
His years in the Scout movement and rigorous training and discipline required to become a black belt in karate had developed a range of values and skills, all of which he would have to call on to meet the challenge that awaited him.
I've had physical issues with my leg, technically since birth, but since 2013 I started to experience really bad pain in my right calf muscle, which is down to a strange and weird condition between my veins and my arteries, where basically my capillaries and my veins between those two things have formed in a weird way, formed in a strange way, which has led to a part of my calf muscle not really getting much oxygen, and there being this kind of mess of veins and muscle entangled into one in the middle of my calf, which isn't very nice, to say the least. It does affect a lot of things, so it affects the way that I walk. It affects, you know, I sometimes get constant pain in my leg, and some days I can wake up and my leg will be fine and I don't feel a thing. Other days I could wake up and struggle to walk. So the prognosis is that I'm never going to be able to, this condition is not curable. Instead, there's two options really. I learn to cope and deal with the pain, which involves a number of different remedies and all that sort of stuff. Or the other way is to go for some treatment, which involves my consultant injecting my calf with some quite dangerous liquids and dangerous chemicals to try and create these veins to become scar tissue, which is what I've gone for, because it was hard to manage, it's hard to cope in such pain. There's a significant risk. Every time I go for these injections, we don't know how my body, my veins, my leg's going to react. And it's likely that the next time I go or the time afterwards, that I wake up from the procedure and my foot will be black and I'll then need amputation below the knee.
Well, you're constantly wondering where you're going to be and what will happen later on, and what will happen if this injection goes wrong and I do end up losing my leg. It mixes your mind up as to where you are if you're not careful, and if you let it, you can overdwell on that instead of dwelling on getting on your life.
For me, or at least now, humour is a very good way in which I deal with it, because I have become disassociated with my leg a little bit. So now when people say, oh, that's awful, I say, well, think of the pirate costume, or think of the flamingo costume, or whatever, just to make it, you know, the funny side to it. The reality is, if I sit and think about my leg all the time, I will become depressed. It will get to me, because I do have to adapt my life around it. And if I constantly think about what's going to happen when my leg eventually comes off, then it's not a life to live.
Whatever the future holds for his physical health and well-being, Lewis is determined not to let it get the better of his personal development and academic career. Lewis continues to be an inspiration to his students, conveying his skills, knowledge and ethical values.
I'm heavily influenced sociologically by a chap called Zygmunt Bauman, who is, or was, one of the world's leading sociologists of the 21st century. Bauman inspired me in a lot of ways, personally as well as academically. But actually what I take from Bauman's work a lot is, more than anything, his approach to explaining the world. Bauman never told anybody what the world was like. He never said, this is, or you should. Instead, Bauman's approach was always to kind of observe the world, understand the world around him, and tell people what he saw. In a way, and one of my other tutors put this in a perfect way, he puts little messages in a bottle and he just throws it out to sea, waiting for someone to pick up what he's seen and what he's been doing. You know, as academics, we throw messages out daily. You know, this is the world, this is an issue, this is a problem. And when people finally pick them up and do something about it, it's quite fulfilling.
With his own thirst to gain more knowledge and skills, it is surely just a matter of time before he becomes Professor Lewis Simpson. If you have been affected by any of the issues raised in this programme, you can get help from your GP, or you can contact the Samaritans on 116 123. If you have an idea for a project that can help your local community, call the Ignite team at Voluntary Action North East Lincolnshire on 01472 231 123.